Alright, what's up guys? I'm Ryan. Sadly Sandra's at work, so we can't really do the beginning. But today I'm going to be breaking down my deck. It's focused around the Gitrog monster. Sandra and I talked it over and we decided that it's too long and too boring to go over 100 cards card by card.
Well, obviously.
So what I'm just going to do is show you the synergies with my deck and try and do like a brief run through in under 15 minutes. As you know, my deck is zombie themed, so we have two foily zombie tokens. So Gitrog monster basically focuses around getting lands onto the battlefield. As you can see, he allows you to play an additional land on each of your turns, and whenever a land card's put into a graveyard from anywhere, you draw a card. So basically I want to be milling myself and throwing cards into my graveyard, playing extra lands, getting card advantage and all that. So one of the first synergies I want to talk about with the Gitrog monster, I'll just put them right up here, is sack outlets. Now you want things to sacrifice your lands. I don't have too many of them right now. Eventually I'm going to be making upgrades and going over them with you. So these are the three cards that I figured were the best sack outlets for my deck. Basically they get lands into my graveyards. And some of my lands are utilities, which also when they enter the graveyard or enter the battlefield, they create zombies and stuff like that. So getting lands into my graveyard is a good thing, and plus it also helps fix the mana, like for something like Elvish Reclaimer and Crop Rotation. They'll help fix the mana, you know, get me out what I need in case there's something that's screwing me over. So next we'll move on to the ramp. Okay, for the ramp, we have obviously our stones. These stones will help us get to where we need to get. We also have things like Rite of Flourishing, Dryad of the... I always mess up his name. Dryad of the Elysian? But they basically allow me to play additional lands on each of my turns. Eventually I want to add stuff like Oracle, Modaya, and Corsair Crewfix into the deck, and Azusa Lost But Seeking. But this is what we got for now. Next two are really big powerhouse cards. We have Verinaclex, Voice of Hunger, Nyxbloom Ancient. They basically add more mana to my mana pool whenever I tap a land for mana. Verinaclex adds... Whenever I tap a land for mana, he adds an additional mana that land would produce. Then we have Nyxbloom Ancient, which if you tap for permanent for mana, it pretty much triples the amount of mana from that permanent. Now we have two lands that fit in this category, in my opinion. We have Crypt of Agadeem and Cabal Coffers. They are both really good lands. This one adds black mana for each black creature in my graveyard. And then we have Cabal Coffers. It adds mana for each swamp I control. And I have Urborg and the Dryad in my deck, which makes my lands and swamps in addition to their other types. So that's really good. Now we're going to move on to Mill. For Mill, we have Stitcher Supplier, Mesmeric Orb. It's a really good one. It also mills your opponents. It's pretty disgusting. It pretty much makes you a target, and I don't really like being a target that much. We have Perpetual Timepiece, Mire Triton, Hermadruid. He will put basically a fourth of my library into my graveyard every time. I only have 3 basic lands in my deck, so we'll see where that goes. Glowspore Shaman, Chimeric Calls the Dead, Binding of Titans, Liliana the Last Hope. Now she's also one of my token producers, but the fact that she doesn't really get to, you know, -7 that much, I decided to put her in this because of her -2, because it puts the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. Then you can return a creature card, or a creature card from your graveyard to the not the battlefield, to your hand. Then we got something like World Shaper. In a way, he's kind of like Recursion, but every time he attacks, he puts the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. And then we have Dakmor Salvage, which has Dredge. So for those of you who don't know what Dredge is, I will leave this out for a little bit so you guys can read it. But otherwise, it seems like I got a decent amount of things to get stuff into my graveyard. Eventually I want to be putting in more stuff, but you know, I play around with my deck all the time, so it's just hard to find out what goes where, what cards are best for this opinion. If you guys have any input and whatever you guys want to say, like put this in your deck, put that in your deck, or like you guys have any suggestions, feel free to comment. I would love to find out more ways to upgrade this deck. Obviously, Soul Tie would be the best option because it's things like Search for Riscanta and all the self-mill. I already went through Altar of Dementia. I thought that was a really good card with Gravecrawler, which I no longer have, and Macaeus the Unhollow was a great way of milling out everybody. It's one of those infinite combos, but I don't really like those, to be honest with you. I just think it makes the game less fun for everyone. But I could see, like, if you really wanted to speed up the game or something like that, then yeah. So next we have Recursion. So we have things like Relentless Dead, Life from the Loom, which also has Dredge. So I guess you could say that can go under mill, but I basically use it to return 3 land cards from my graveyard to my hand. Crucible Worlds, Ramanap Excavator, 2 cards that bring lands from a graveyard to play. We have Glissa the Trader. For the artifact recursion, I have a lot of artifacts. Starev, she's really good. Splendid Reclamation for the lands. Liliana's Death's Majesty. She creates tokens as well, and she also has a board wipe ability, but I basically use her to return a creature from my graveyard to the battlefield. Sheoldred, one of Sandra's favorite cards. Get it? Favorite.
Bruh.
Anyways, we have Cauldron of Eternity, and we have Buried Ruin. Those cards will basically get me what I need from my graveyard. Alright. So that's done. Next, we will have removal. Removal is a big part in Magic the Gathering. You need removal to deal with your opponent's stuff. So I have things that, like Assassin's Trophy. We have Fleshbag Marauder. Sandra hates this card a lot because every time she plays her commander, I play Fleshbag Marauder. It's really funny. We have Never to Return, which also can create me zombies. Also, we have stuff that will hurt our opponents too in this. It's not just removal. So when people want to draw a million cards and play shenanigans and stuff like that, I have Underworld Dreams, which whenever they draw a card deals 1 damage to them. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. Crows and Grip for artifact enchantment removal. Shiragogari Lord. I buff up my zombies, and then I start sacking my zombies to deal damage to them. Dictate of Erebos. Grey Merchant Asphodel. He's really good. I do have a lot of Black Devotion in my deck, so I'm hoping to get like a really good Grey Merchant. We have Casualties of War. Overseer of the Damned. He's also a token producer. Whenever a non-token creature an opponent controls dies, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token tapped. We have Angarok's Wake. Nylea's Intervention for those flyers. This is also ramp. And then we have Strip Mine. Now, I do not like strip mining people out. I don't think that is fun at all. If you do that, you are a twisted person. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, don't do that. It's very mean. Alright, so next we'll move to zombies. Now, I do create a lot of tokens in my deck, so what would it be without its lords? So we have Zombie Master, Lord of the Undead, Death Baron, Cemetery Reaper, Undead War Chief, Vanquisher's Banner, Liliana's Mastery, God Eternal Ronus, and Macaeus the Unhallowed. These guys will all buff up my zombies, make them cheaper, and whenever I cast them I draw cards. This can go in the card draw section, but I figured it'd be better in this section because it's also an Anthem ability. So that's that. Next we'll move to drawing cards. So we have things like Crypt Breaker. He also creates tokens. Undead Augur. Horn of Greed. I put this for like Growing Rights of Itlamok. It is also ramp and card advantage. I put it in there specifically for card advantage. But when you do flip it, and I do flip this usually the turn I play it, it's ramp. You add mana to your mana pool for each creature you control. It's basically a Gaia's Cradle. But yeah, so card advantage. It's nice. We have Death Reap Ritual. Now I couldn't decide between this one and Divine Reclamation. This one's more likely to draw you cards, but in case of a board wipe, Divine Reclamation, you gain. So if I remember correctly, whenever a creature you control dies, you gain a life and draw a card. So Divine Reclamation is a really good card. I think I should be running both. I'm not sure. Leave a comment, let me know. Got Eternal Bantu. Sacrifice permanents, draw cards. Underrealm Lich, another one of those card advantage. If you want to draw a card instead, look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put one into your hand, resting into your graveyard. Then we have Neutering Peatland, which draws me a card. So that does it for the drawing cards. Now obviously, Rites of Flourishing also draws me cards, but I figure it's a better way to ramp, so I put it in the ramp section. Next we have our tokens, our token producers and token doublers. So we have Diregraph Colossus, Kalidas Trader of Ket, Endless Ranks of the Dead. This card works for me a lot because most people don't, really know how to deal with it. Oh, there's also something I wanted to show you guys. Where's the recursion pile? Here it is. Did you guys know that Endless Ranks of the Dead is actually the same art in Relentless Dead? That is so cool, right? Anyways, back to the video. So we have Liliana's Reaver, Parallel Lives to double those tokens, Doubling Season to double the tokens. We have stuff like Musengrav Mob, Grave Titan, Liliana Dreadhorde General. She's also removal too. Now this card is a token producer. Although I basically only use it so it's hate towards Sandra's flyers, because creatures with flying can't attack you, but it's also a token producer. And then we have my 3 token producing lands. So we have Field of the Dead, Dunes of the Dead, and Cradle of the Accursed. Basically all create me zombies. This one you have to pay 3 mana and sacrifice it. This one whenever it enters the graveyard from the battlefield, and this one's whenever you play a land with a different name. That kind of stuff. But you have to have 7 or more lands. Sorry, so we got our token producers out of the way. And now we got the last 3 cards. Now these cards are all different. They don't really fit into any of these categories. So we have Vidalcan Orrery, which basically gives my cards flash so I can cast stuff on my opponent's turn, which is really nice and handy. We have Sidisi Undead Vizier, which is pretty much a tutor for my deck. I don't have any tutors. I didn't really, I know tutors are nice, but it's so hard to find space for them, What would a deck be without one Eldrazi? So we have Ulamog the Infinite Gyre, and I basically use him for his last ability. Whenever he's put into a graveyard from anywhere, its owner shuffles their graveyard into the library. So basically I can't I can't mill out. And now, we have my lands. So we'll just go through them very quick. Command Tower, Overgrown Tomb, Twilight Mire, Woodland Cemetery, Pine Barrens, Lana Waste, Temple of Malady, Tainted Wood, Golgari Rot Farm, Golgari Gilgate, Urgborg, Desert of the Glorified, If Near Deadlands, Paship Oasis, Desert of the Indomitable. I'm not even going to say that. And then we have my 3 basics. So we got 2 Swamps and a Forest. This card, I haven't really got a chance to use it yet. I'll put it up so you guys can read the text. But basically it becomes a plant zombie. So my Anthem abilities would affect this. Alright, so that does it for my deck. Sandra and I will be battling it out on Friday, our battle day. And the winner of the battles will get to choose somebody from the comment section who voted for them to win. And the winner will get a Brawl deck. The Fairy Schemes Brawl deck. Also, be sure to check out our Patreon. We basically give out 1 free booster box and 1 free collector's box every month. So yeah, be sure to check that out. And as always, guys, thank you for watching. You guys have a wonderful weekend.